The language of the unconscious is mysterious and often misunderstood. From dreams to sudden intuitions, it sends us signals that, when properly interpreted, can guide our actions and help us make decisions more aligned with our true essence. Have you ever had that moment of chills or a premonition that something isn't quite right, but couldn't identify the reason? These feelings might be echoes from the unconscious trying to warn us about something beyond reason. The unconscious speaks to us through symbols, emotions, and even physical sensations. It's a powerful force, but often neglected as we are so focused on the demands of everyday life. It is essential to learn to listen and understand these signals because they offer us direction. When something no longer resonates, the unconscious signals that it's time to let go. These warnings may appear subtly, such as inexplicable physical discomfort or a sense that something is off. However, it's important to stay open and attentive so we don't ignore them. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more insights on self-awareness and personal growth. And don't forget to check out our members area for exclusive content. The concept of the shadow was developed by Carl Jung to describe the parts of ourselves that we prefer not to see, those characteristics or emotions we hide out of fear of social rejection. The shadow is not necessarily negative, but rather an aspect of our psyche that, when repressed, tends to manifest in dysfunctional and even harmful ways, creating an internal struggle. Ignoring these signs from the unconscious is not merely an unconscious choice. It is a way of blocking the integration of these parts of ourselves, making it impossible to live fully and authentically. When we don't face our shadow, it begins to influence our actions indirectly, often in our relationships. It is common for aspects of the shadow, such as repressed anger, fear, or insecurity, to show up in our interactions with others. People we interact with may act as mirrors, reflecting hidden aspects of ourselves that we either fail to recognize or are unwilling to confront. These behavioral patterns become destructive, fueling resentment and unnecessary conflict, creating a cycle of continuous and exhausting suffering. The process of confronting and integrating the shadow is essential for our personal growth. When we recognize these parts of ourselves, we begin to notice the destructive patterns we've created, often without realizing it. These patterns can manifest in forms of self-punishment, sabotage, or even toxic relationships, where we repeat the same mistakes in search of acceptance or resolution that never comes. The resistance to facing the shadow is a way of protecting the ego, but it prevents growth and true inner transformation. The key to transforming these negative patterns lies in acceptance and self-awareness. When we face our shadow and accept it as part of who we are, we begin to make peace with our weaknesses and limitations. Instead of fighting against them, we start to integrate them, creating a more balanced and harmonious psyche. This doesn't mean surrendering to our shadows, but rather understanding their messages, learning from them, and using them as an opportunity for growth. Every part of us, whether light or shadow, has something to teach, and it is in full acceptance that we can break free from the chains of the past. However, recognizing and integrating the shadow is not an easy process and can be a painful journey. Confronting the darkest parts of ourselves requires courage and the willingness to look beyond the masks we wear to protect our social identity. But by doing so, the reward is immense. The freedom to be who we truly are, without the limitations imposed by external expectations. True transformation happens when we stop running from the unconscious and start embracing our wholeness. The fear of the unknown is one of the most powerful forces that prevents us from making important decisions in our lives. This fear manifests in many ways, whether in hesitation when faced with new opportunities, reluctance to change habits, or even clinging to relationships that no longer serve us. When we come face to face with something new, something we cannot control or predict, it is natural to feel insecure. However, this fear of the unknown often prevents us from evolving and reaching our full potential. Often, the fear isn't truly about what lies ahead, but rather what we are leaving behind. The resistance to let go of the familiar, even when it harms us, is a common reaction from the unconscious mind. The human mind prefers the known, no matter how uncomfortable or painful, over venturing into something uncertain. This behavior can be likened to a type of emotional comfort zone, where we stay even in toxic situations because the unknown represents a threat to our sense of stability and control. Jung, in his studies of the unconscious, explained how humans tend to resist profound changes. The process of individuation, the path to becoming who we truly are, requires us to let go of old patterns, beliefs, and behaviors that no longer serve us. This can generate great internal resistance, as change involves deconstructing what we already know about ourselves. However, it is this deconstruction that is essential for our true transformation. Resistance to the unknown also manifests in attachment to people or situations that cause us suffering, but in some way, give us a sense of identity or security. The fear of losing these relationships can be so strong that we prefer to stay in a cycle of pain, believing that change would be even worse. However, often it is necessary to let go so that we can make room for what truly deserves our energy. Letting go doesn't mean weakness, but rather courage to accept the process of transformation and trust that something better will come. Overcoming this fear of the unknown requires self-awareness and courage. We need to be willing to trust the process of life and accept that, at times, we must take a step into the dark to find the true light. When we understand that the unknown is a natural part of life and our growth, we can begin to leave resistance behind and allow change to happen. Embracing the unknown is, in fact, an act of faith. Faith in ourselves and in the universe that always guides us toward what is most aligned with our life purpose. The process of individuation, according to Carl Jung, is the deep and transformative journey of becoming the most authentic version of yourself. Throughout our lives, we are influenced by numerous external expectations, whether from society, family, or others around us. These influences shape who we think we are but often take us away from our true essence. Individuation, then, is the path to reclaiming our original identity, a quest to integrate all parts of ourselves, light and shadow, and achieve a state of inner balance. This journey requires courage, as it challenges us to confront our fears, limitations, and even the false beliefs we have cultivated over time. Often, by trying to be what others expect us to be, we set aside our own desires and needs, creating a disconnect from our true nature. The process of individuation is the return to this connection, and it involves recognizing that we are complex beings, made up of many facets, and all of these facets deserve to be recognized and accepted. The pain, fear, and doubt that arise along the way are not obstacles to be avoided, but opportunities for growth and self-awareness. However, individuation is not a quick or simple process. It requires a continuous commitment to self-knowledge and the willingness to look within with honesty. Often, this means facing parts of ourselves that we prefer to ignore or hide, such as our weaknesses, flaws, and shadow aspects. However, it is through the integration of our shadows that we can become more whole, more complete. The shadow is not something to be fought against, but something to be understood, as it is through it that we can unleash the transformative potential within us. An important part of individuation is understanding that, throughout this journey, we are constantly evolving. Becoming who we truly are is not a final destination but an ongoing process of self-exploration and improvement. As we become more aware of our true intentions, beliefs, and values, we begin to live in a way that is more aligned with our purpose. This involves letting go of old patterns, relationships that no longer serve us, and even certainties that once seemed unquestionable. Individuation is, therefore, a constant renewal of the self, allowing us to live more authentically and in harmony with who we truly are. The true meaning of individuation is ultimately freedom. The freedom to be who we are without the need for external approval, without the weight of others' expectations. By integrating all parts of ourselves, we create a richer and deeper life, with a sense of belonging that does not depend on external validation, but rather on a genuine connection with our inner self. Individuation teaches us that by accepting our wholeness, light, and shadow, we can live with more authenticity, confidence, and inner peace. The universe, with its infinite wisdom, communicates with us in various ways, often sending subtle signals indicating when something in our life has already fulfilled its purpose. These signs may be different for each person, but they all have something in common. They invite us to reflect on what is out of harmony and what needs to be let go. The process of letting go can be challenging because it involves accepting that certain situations, people, or behavioral patterns are no longer beneficial for our growth and evolution. However, learning to recognize and understand these signs is essential so that we can move forward with more ease and inner peace. One of the most common ways the universe signals us is through what are called negative synchronicities. These are events or encounters that, at first glance, seem to be coincidences, but when observed more deeply, reveal a pattern of disharmony or resistance. When we repeatedly face obstacles, misunderstandings, or situations that leave us unsatisfied, the universe may be showing us that it's time to let go of something. Negative synchronicities act as a warning that something needs to be adjusted or released so that we can evolve. In addition to negative synchronicities, there are other important signs to observe. One of the most evident is energy depletion. When we feel constantly tired, unmotivated, or drained after certain interactions or activities, this can be a clear sign that we are investing our energy in something that is no longer aligned with our well-being. Intuition also plays a crucial role in this process. Often, our instinct alerts us about something that isn't right, even if our rational mind hasn't fully grasped it yet. That persistent feeling of discomfort, that something is wrong, is a direct message from our unconscious inviting us to reassess what is around us. Another important sign is the imbalance between giving and receiving. In many relationships, especially toxic ones, we find ourselves giving more than we receive, leading to emotional burnout. The universe teaches us that for relationships to be healthy and balanced, there must be a mutual exchange of energy. When we realize that we are always in the giver role and never in the receiver role, it may indicate that we need to rethink our interactions and establish healthy boundaries. Finally, dreams are also powerful signals the universe uses to send us important messages. When we are in a process of transformation or about to make a significant change in our lives, our dreams may reflect these feelings and provide us with clarity. Dreams with recurring themes or specific symbols can help us understand what needs to be released or transformed within us, pointing to aspects of our psyche that are still in conflict or need to be resolved. Being able to identify and understand these signs from the universe is a crucial step for self-awareness. When we can look at our lives with more attention and sensitivity, we become more capable of recognizing when it's time to let go and make space for the new. Although the process of letting go can be painful at times, it is also an opportunity for renewal and growth, allowing us to move forward toward a future more aligned with our true selves. Letting go is undoubtedly one of the greatest challenges of the human experience. The pain of separation, whether from people, situations, or old habits, touches us deeply. We cling to what we know, even when it brings us suffering, because familiarity gives us a sense of security. However, true transformation only occurs when we are able to release what no longer serves us. This process of letting go is not about giving up, but making a conscious choice to allow something new to take the place of the old. The courage to let go is directly tied to faith in the process of life. When we release what is no longer aligned with our purpose, we are, in fact, making space for the new, for what is in harmony with our evolution. Jung teaches us that, by letting go of the old, we allow the new to enter our lives. However, the arrival of the new requires that we are willing to let go of the known, to step outside of our comfort zone. This requires a deep trust that the change, though uncomfortable, will bring something more meaningful and more aligned with who we truly are. Each farewell, therefore, is an opportunity for transformation. It may be difficult to see this while we are in the midst of pain, but the universe always guides us towards something better. The fear of separation often holds us back, but the courage to take that step is what allows us to grow. Letting go is ultimately an expression of trust in our own journey and in the wisdom of the universe. It is the acceptance that what is to come will be richer, more genuine, and more true to who we are. This process of letting go and making space for the new is a constant in our lives. At each stage of evolution, we are called to release something so we can grow even further. This doesn't mean we should abandon everything familiar all at once, but that we must be willing to let go of what no longer resonates with our essence, what holds back our growth. Every act of release is an invitation to a new experience, a new phase of our life. If you are ready to explore more deeply how to let go and open yourself to the new, subscribe to the channel and join our members community. Together, we can continue this journey of self-discovery, creating the life we truly desire. By allowing ourselves to release what no longer serves us, we open the doors to powerful transformations and to a future more aligned with our true selves.